Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're setting sail for Scotland, but our destination isn't just a place. It's really an idea. How one major player in the world of fine spirits, well, how they managed to honor decades of tradition while simultaneously pioneering some pretty aggressive, forward-looking strategies.
Yeah, that's right.
We are diving into the story of Ian MacLeod Distillers, or IMD.
That's right. And our source material today is, well, it's robust. It gives us a fascinating perspective really derived from the extensive knowledge base of a major European retailer, Whisky.dk.
Right.
So this gives us a highly informed, maybe even critical view of how an independent, family-owned merchant transforms itself into a single malt powerhouse.
So our mission today is to trace IMD's evolution, understand the core philosophy that enabled this transformation, and maybe most importantly, dissect their portfolio strategy. What do their blends and their new regional malts tell us about the future of Scotch?
Exactly. And before we really unpack IMD itself, it's probably worth just a quick acknowledgement of the source materials foundation. Whisky.dk is serious business. They are Denmark's largest online and physical whiskey store, located in Vesterprud near Kolding. They've got this massive 500 square meter showroom.
Wow.
Founded back in 2012 by Ulrik Bertelsen and Henrik Olsen, and they've won the prestigious Danish Gazelle Prize multiple times. So their expertise means the information we have on IMD is, well, it's based on some deep market experience.
That context is vital, yeah. Okay, so let's unpack this Ian MacLeod Distillers, a family operation tracing its roots back to 1933. What does that founding identity, starting as an independent merchant, what does that give them that maybe the bigger corporate distillers lack?
Well, that's fascinating, isn't it? That initial identity. We were founded by Leonard Russell Sr. as an independent, family-owned whiskey merchant.
Right, merchant first.
Exactly. They weren't tied down by owning a specific distillery or, a house style right from day one. That merchant DNA, it means they developed expertise in cask sourcing, blending, market demand, the real art of curation, actually, before they ever distilled a single drop themselves.
And that longevity. 4 generations now, active members of the Scotch Whisky Association. That speaks to incredible stability. But with that deep respect for tradition, how do they avoid becoming, complacent? Where did they first start to break the mold?
I think their core philosophy really answers that. They prioritize high quality, sure, in both blends and single malts, but they aren't afraid of innovative branding. Their first major strategic moves were actually in blending.
Okay.
The Russell family took over Ian MacLeod & Co. in 1963, launching the Isle of Skye blended whiskey. And then by 1968, they introduced the globally popular, and I should add, extremely reliable King Robert II series.
Okay, so that established them as serious blending masters pretty early on. But if we look at the 1990s, we see them diversifying outside of whiskey, adding non-whiskey spirits like London Hill Gin and Watson's Rum. Was that just, market diversification, or was there maybe a deeper financial play going on?
That's an excellent question. I mean, for a family-run whiskey house in the 90s, diversification was often about 2 things. 1, immediate cash flow, and 2, leveraging existing distribution networks.
Right, makes sense.
Whiskey, especially single malt, it requires really capital-intensive aging. Gin and rum offer much quicker turnaround and profits, which, can then be reinvested back into aging that precious whiskey stock. So it's strategic buffering, really. And they continued that strategy later, didn't they? With the 2016 acquisition of Edinburgh Gin, that ensured they had a contemporary, high-growth white spirit brand in their fold. Smart move.
Okay, so here's where the strategic pivot becomes, undeniable. The 2000s acquisitions. They transitioned from being purely merchants and blenders to serious distillery owners.
Yeah.
What was the thinking behind those first big moves?
The moves seem entirely intentional, aimed at building a balanced, high-quality portfolio. In 2003, they purchased Glengoyne Distillery, along with Lang's blended whiskey.
Glengoyne, right.
Yeah, Glengoyne is known for its high quality, it's unpeated, and crucially, it's easily accessible near Glasgow. That makes it a powerful tourist destination and, a known commodity. It ensured them continuity and prestige.
And then they followed that up in 2011 with Tamdhu Distillery. Now that feels like a completely different play, right?
Precisely. Tamdhu was bought and then relaunched in 2013 with a very specific, highly focused strategy. Total dedication to sherry aging.
Ah, the sherry focus.
Yes. That's market specialization. So while Glengoyne offers stability and tradition, Tamdhu is all about carving out a specific high-end niche for sherry cask enthusiasts. It really shows IMD isn't just expanding horizontally, they're deepening their vertical expertise too.
And we shouldn't forget the other side of that 2000s innovation coin. Smokehead, launched in 2006.
Yes. Smokehead is the perfect contrast. It's an Islay single malt, intensely peated, but presented with this rebellious modern branding. It really appeals to a younger, maybe edgier demographic.
So within just a decade, they acquired a traditional established distillery, Glengoyne,
Right.
revived a niche brand, Tamdhu,
Yep.
and invented an innovative market-defying brand with Smokehead. That's not just expansion, that sounds like portfolio engineering.
That's a great way to put it. Portfolio engineering.
It really sets the stage for what I consider their most audacious move, and maybe the ultimate dedication to tradition. The Rosebank project. Wait, they didn't just buy an idle distillery, did they? They took on the monumental, multi-year task of rebuilding and restarting production at Rosebank Distillery, the famed lowland classicer. That sounds financially audacious.
Oh, it absolutely is. The work, which mostly happened between 2017 and 2023, was a massive capital investment. Rosebank was known for its triple distillation and its worm tubs, those defining characteristics of the, well, largely defunct lowland style. So if we connect this action to the bigger picture, reviving Rosebank is a huge commitment to restoring a historic regional style that was, frankly, severely underrepresented in Scotch.
So this isn't just about owning another brand name. This is IMD taking a significant financial gamble to, redefine an entire category.
Yeah.
Betting that consumers will pay a premium for a restored piece of history.
Exactly that. It shows they are long-term investors in the spirit's history itself. They're willing to sink millions into a project that won't yield returns for at least a decade, probably more. It's a huge statement. It reinforces their image as custodians of heritage, not just, profit seekers.
That long-term view, that blending mastery, it must translate directly into their cornerstone product lines. Let's transition now to the liquid itself, maybe starting with the portfolio anchor. Isle of Skye blended Scotch.
Yes, the Isle of Skye blends are critical because they define IMD's foundational identity as expert merchants. They use an exceptionally high proportion of island and Speyside malts, which is really what elevates them above, standard blends.
Okay, let's look at the Isle of Skye 12-year-old first. It's positioned as this consistent premium product designed for that perfect balance you mentioned. The high malt content gives it a richness that, it hits you immediately. That creamy vanilla, honeycomb, dried apricot.
And what's key there, I think, is the integration of the smoke. It's that mellow sweetness balanced by subtle smokiness. The finish isn't aggressive. It sort of lingers with soft peat smoke, almost like an elegant signature rather than a blast. It proves the complexity they can achieve through sourcing and combining malts.
And then we step up to the Isle of Skye, 18 years old. This one feels like a different animal altogether. A limited, matured batch release, noted for its distinct coastal character and complexity. It feels almost like a single malt experience, but delivered via a blend.
It really is. The tasting notes here tell a strategic story, I think. On the nose, you get these surprising elements. Bright gooseberry, lime, warming cinnamon. Then the palate brings in rich fruitcake and smooth toffee.
Yeah, I can see that. The profiles are much bolder than the 12-year-old. And the finish is described as long and peated, but softening into malt and dark chocolate.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It really emphasizes that blending is truly an elevated art form. By combining those specific characteristics, like the coastal salinity, the deep sherry influence, the controlled age, they achieve a complexity and consistency in the 18-year-old that makes it highly collectible. It just demonstrates the depth of their blending team's expertise.
That consistency and expertise, it leads us perfectly to the other side of their portfolio, the one designed specifically for education and exploration. The MacLeod's Regional Malts series. Now, this is a brilliant shortcut for any learner, isn't it? Offering 5 distinct 8-year-old single malts, each designed to capture the essence of a different Scottish region.
It really is a masterclass in regional difference. But before we dive into the specific flavors, maybe let's quickly define one of the contrasts this series illustrates so well, the lowland style.
Good idea.
When we talk about lowlands, we generally mean a malt that is often triple distilled, typically unpeated, and characterized by light, floral, grassy, or citrus notes. It's really elegance over brute force.
Okay, knowing that definitely sets the stage for the tasting tour. We can compare that lowland elegance directly to the heavy hitters. Let's start with the bold standard. The Islay single malt.
Unmistakably Islay. You get that initial blast of peat smoke, sea salt, damp earth. It's a full-bodied, high-impact malt. There's no subtlety here. It's pure coastal aggression, maybe tempered only slightly by a little dark sherry sweetness in the background.
Then you have the slightly subtler, perhaps, but still rugged, maritime style of the island single malt. This is the one that showcases that punchy, sea-influenced character. You find dry smoke, iodine, sea salt, maybe some leather, but balanced by an interesting contrast of salted butter and sweet malt.
Right, and for that crucial contrast you mentioned earlier, we move to the lowland single malt. This is the polar opposite. It's fresh and floral. You get sherry notes, straw, orange marmalade dominating the nose and palate. It's elegant, mellow, and finishes really clean and with just a soft pepper note. It shows what IMD values in restoring that lighter style.
Next up, the Speyside single malt. This is probably what most people associate with classic Scotch accessibility. It offers generous sherry notes, a really smooth palate of golden barley and sultanas. It finishes dry and floral. It's kind of the safe but still characterful centerpiece.
And finally, the Highland single malt. The balanced workhorse, you could say. Expect a refined and dry profile here. It carries a gentle smoke, yeah, but it's woven through malty sweetness and subtle spice. It represents the vast, diverse Highland region, perfectly approachable, but definitely offering complexity and depth.
This series truly synthesizes the regional differences in such a concrete way. But let me challenge this strategy a little. Isn't there a risk that by offering 5 distinct 8-year-olds under one banner, the MacLeod's brand, they might actually dilute the consumer's focus on their core-owned distilleries like Tamdhu or Glengoyne?
That raises a really important point about market positioning. For IMD, I think the series serves 2 primary strategic functions that probably overcome that risk. First, market education. It provides an accessible, relatively affordable entry point for consumers to understand regional differences, all under the IMD umbrella that builds brand loyalty and trust.
Okay, yeah, education.
Second, it serves as a powerful testament to their initial identity as expert merchants. They are essentially saying, look, we know the best casks in every single region and we can bottle them all expertly. This strengthens their reputation as impartial, high-quality curators, which then reflects well on everything else they do.
Ah, that makes sense. So they use the merchant identity to actually reinforce the quality of the distiller-owner brands. It's been quite the journey today, hasn't it? We've seen Ian MacLeod Distillers maintain that dual identity. They are both a historic, successful merchant, proven by the complexity and consistency of their Isle of Skye blends, and a meticulous custodian of distilling heritage, evidenced by owning Glengoyne and Tamdhu and that massive long-term commitment to the Rosebank revival.
Which raises an important question, though, kind of building on that synthesis of old and new. When an independent bottler and owner like IMD focuses so heavily on showcasing and restoring regional identity and tradition, how does that deep historical respect influence the truly modern, innovative brands they develop, like Smokehead? Does the act of meticulously respecting the past, does that give them the intellectual license and the credibility to brand the future in entirely new, maybe even rebellious ways?
That's a fascinating thought. Smokehead is maybe the outlier that proves the rule. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Ian MacLeod Distillers, tracing how strategic vision and deep roots can really revolutionize a classic industry. We definitely encourage you to explore the details we discussed further, particularly those incredible regional flavor profiles.